Hello, humans, and welcome to Studio de Jeffrey, where tonight, once you people will actually join in here, you're going to see who we have with us, which is a special guest. It's sweet, sweet Dane Brugler from The Athletic, the greatest draft man on planet Earth, who, depending on how much teams pay, I hope Dane gets a job as a GM or something, but not as a scout if it doesn't pay a lot. That's my hope for the great Dane Brugler, who is with us here right now. Dane, what's happening, brother?
Jeffrey Cavanaugh, how are you?
Good. It's been a hot minute, and I need your sweet dulcet tones talking draft. And I'm going to guess by the background that you're probably in Mobile, Alabama. Is it still technically Mobile, or did they move it with the new stadium?
It's technically still Mobile. It is at South Alabama, which is a nice setup. It's, Lad Peebles was, on his last legs. And so the nice new stadium, it's tough because there's an entrance for NFL personnel. There's an entrance for media and agents and people like that. So it's a little separated, which is not fun, but it's a nice stadium. And today was fun because after the last few days of meetings and networking and, a lot of talking and stuff like that, we actually got to watch practice and see guys popping pads on the field. And that was a lot of fun because, this is the last time we get to see actual football as part of the draft process. The combine's great. There's plenty to learn, but, it's in shorts and T-shirt and, there's only so much you can take away from that. So seeing these guys in a football setting in helmet and pads was great today.
So I'd only been to the Senior Bowl, I believe, twice, and I loved Lad Peebles because It was like you just had kind of the roam of the place. You just kind of walked wherever you wanted, stood wherever you wanted. It was absolutely incredible. If you are just now joining this is the great Dane Brugler from The Athletic, who I've done the draft show with for years. And he is, for my money, the absolute best in the business at the draft because he does it 365 days a year. And he knows how to watch the tape and he knows how to connect with people. So he has information and eyeballs on these players. And now that you're at the Senior Bowl, go down, I guess, a list of the highest ranked players that you would have on a board right now that are in Mobile and how they've done. I've taken a special interest in Zion Johnson, who I watched last night and I loved. So if you tell me he had a bad day, I'm going to end the stream.
No, I thought if he had a bad day, that might be a good thing because maybe he falls a little bit because he's an awesome player. Zion Johnson, and it was interesting. He was at center today. They played him at center and left guard during one-on-ones and team drills. He's never played center before. Do you know about his background at all?
I know he played, I believe did he start at a smaller school? I know 2020 he was a left tackle, 2021 he was a left guard, and I know that I've only seen his 2021 tape, but I think he is absolutely worthy of being the 24th pick, depending on who's there.
100% agree. But buckle up. How about this? I've heard about players who have, wrestling backgrounds, basketball backgrounds. Zion Johnson was a golfer. That's
my
his
guy.
Yeah. Around sixth grade, he picked up golfing, and that was his focus until his junior year of high school. And he decided to go out for the football team and made it. And he started as a senior at right tackle at 220 pounds. And so that's why he ended up at Davidson, FCS, non-scholarship. And then after 2 years there, he's like, you know what, I need to get a scholarship. And so he entered the transfer portal, and his former assistant coach at Davidson was now at Boston College. And so there's a natural connection, goes to BC. And then last 3 years, he really emerged as a legit prospect. Almost 34-inch arms. I mean, he has the body you want. He's smart. Really, talking to him, there's a couple prospects in this draft that are really, really impressive just when you talk to them. Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan's one. Zion Johnson's absolutely one of them. Really thoughtful individual. I really enjoyed talking to him, just to hear him as kind of talk through techniques, talk through different positions and what he looks for on tape. when he studies opponents. So Zion Johnson's outstanding. And there were a few rough moments at center because he's never snapped before. And so there were a few moments like that. But I thought at left guard, he was at home and he looked really good. So I'm with you. I almost put him at 24 in my mock draft to the Cowboys. And I think he'd be definitely a worthy selection there in the late first round.
Let me stop for a hot second to thank my guy Formula, who's always swinging through here with the super chats. He said he's just coming by to say y'all are the best, and Dane, you're definitely the best in the business. So thank you, Formula, and thank you, Dane, for being here with us. And Clayton swinging through. He said linebacker. How do you say the linebacker's name? Is it Muma?
Muma, yeah.
Smoke Monday. Are they both there, and have either one of them done anything good?
I thought Muma looked pretty good today. Linebacker from Wyoming who has a chance to be one of the first 5 linebackers drafted. He former safety, moved, kind of bulked up, went to linebacker. So he's got that coverage background and he plays fast, trusts his eyes. And I thought he did a nice job. Smoke Monday, he is not here. Auburn safety. I believe he was at the East-West Shrine game, if I remember correctly. But more of a day 3 safety prospect, a solid player.
So since you are out there, we talked about my guy, Zion Johnson. Other than the quarterbacks in hell, if you've got a minute, maybe talk about the quarterbacks too. But who are the other guys that if you were to release your top 100 board that I'm sure you're going to do right after the Senior Bowl's over, that are some of the guys that are up there the highest that could be first rounders? And what are you seeing so far? Verifying what they are, hurting themselves, helping themselves?
Well, I thought the guy that helped himself, maybe not helped himself, but just kind of verified what we thought going in was Jermaine Johnson, the pass rusher from Florida State. On Monday, I tweeted my top 5 Senior Bowl players going into the week, and it was Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle from Northern Iowa 1, Bernard Raymond, the offensive tackle from Central Michigan 2, and then Jermaine Johnson at 3. And I think Jermaine might have saw that because he wasn't happy at being number 3. He wants to be number 1, and at least that's how he practiced today on Tuesday. He couldn't be blocked, and he's a guy that 6'5", I think it was 255. He came in at over 34-inch arms. He's not only he's physically impressive, but he's not only physically impressive. He has some nuance to what he's doing out there. He knows how to rush. He knows how to use his length to his advantage, play behind his hands, and stay out in front. And that sets up a spin move, a long arm move, a power rip. He's different ways he could beat you. And so Jermaine Johnson, I think what he did coming from Georgia to Florida State, bet on himself. He was the alpha on that Seminoles defensive line and led the ACC in tackles for loss, sacks, and he's only just continued that momentum so far this week at the Senior Bowl. And I think he's got a chance to be a top 15, top 20 pick when it's all said and done. He plays the right position. I believe, I think I've seen you tweet about him. You like him too, right?
I like him. I don't like you. The picture you're painting is more of a finished, I guess, product than I thought that I saw. But like I did, the one thing I kept putting my notes over and over again on him was hands. Like it seems like everything he does is sort of, I'm going to win this little hand battle, then I turn the corner. I'm going to win this hand battle, and then I work my way to the ball. So we'll see where I end up with him. But I feel like for me, he would probably fall in the like late first round, early second round. And because he's a pass rusher, that probably means earlier. Like he's my 5th edge guy of the 5 I've watched.
That's fair.
Is that about where he is for you?
Yeah.
Behind Trayvon Walker, behind George Karlaftis.
Let me pull it up, my rankings up. Yeah, he is. He's actually my 6th.
Who's 5? I might not have seen the 5th one yet.
Hutchinson and Thibodeau at the top. Ojabo, Trayvon Walker, and then Karlaftis and Jermaine Johnson. I've got very close.
I haven't watched Ojabo yet, so that makes sense.
Well, and the thing with Johnson is, I think not only can he rush a passer, but he's really good against a run. He processes things quickly, and so I'm with you. I grade him as more of a late 1, but you're right. Plays the right position, and so if he gets bumped up a little bit, especially after a good week here in Mobile, I think top 20 is definitely possible.
Penning, what did you see from Penning today? That's the Northern Iowa offensive tackle that is a freaking mauler.
Yeah, big dude, and he played a little bit of right guard during practice today, which is fun. Why not? Show what you can do.
We want to put the big, strong guys in a phone booth, right?
And so, he was a natural left tackle in college. in his background, defensive lineman and tight end, and he kind of outgrew those. And he's just a nasty, nasty dude. And I think it was Ritter. It was at quarterback. And I can't remember who the pass rusher was. Maybe it was the Oklahoma pass rusher. Tried to dip underneath him, and Penning just tossed him and almost took out Ritter's
Well,
knees.
that's because every Oklahoma pass rusher is 240 pounds. That would be Benito, right?
No, it was actually the bigger guy, Isaiah Thomas, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he was more of a power guy. But, I mean, still, to throw him like he did, to toss him was really impressive. I'm hoping to watch the tape tonight. We'll see. If get my hands on it, I'll definitely tweet that out.
All right, Hams, I appreciate you on the super chat, my friend. Do Cowboys go for a wide receiver if an elite one is there? The way that I'm going to transcribe that question for Dane is, Dane, name how many receivers you think are worthy of the number 24 overall pick.
I think there's 6.
Wow.
I think that's – have you watched a lot of receivers yet?
No, I've watched Jameson Williams, some John Mechie, and then Olave and Garrett Wilson. And I would say Garrett Wilson, yes, worth number 24. Jameson Williams, yes, worth number 24. Olave, I would say, what do I think I could get in the second instead? I like him, but I'm not sure about 24.
I think when it's all said and done, I'll have 6 receivers in my top 25. Garrett Wilson, to me, is the top guy. I think that name of the game in today's NFL, what can you do? Can you get open before the catch, and can you create after the catch? And I think Garrett Wilson does both of those things very, very well. He's twitchy releases. He can separate on command, and then he's got some juice after the catch. And so, and he plays much bigger than, he's probably going to come in at like 5'11 and 3/4, 190 pounds. So size-wise, Garrett Wilson, not that imposing.
He runs so violently. It's funny because the notes that I was making on him described a smaller, quicker Des Bryant, but I didn't make the connection. And I think it was your words that said that. And I was like, that's what these words I typed say. Yes, I see it.
Yeah. And the body control. I don't like to use the word elite very often just because it gets thrown around too much and you got to save it for when it really matters. Garrett Wilson has elite body control. It's really, really rare. And I think that's also where you see the Des Bryant with just the way he can contort his body as a route runner at the catch point. So yeah, Garrett Wilson to me is the clear wide receiver 1. And then that's where things get interesting. It depends on what type of receiver you're looking for. Jameson Williams is obviously a track stud who comes from a family of track stars. But he's not just a fast guy on a football field. I mean, he has maybe not the most natural hands catcher, but he doesn't have a ton of drops. I mean, he can run some routes. Jameson Williams is a dynamic playmaker. Treylon Burks is, and as Deebo Samuel has kind of taken off here in the last, I feel like 2 months. I mean, he was always a good player, but it feels like he's really taken off the last 2 months. Everyone's looking for that next Deebo Samuel. Treylon Burks from Arkansas is a linebacker-sized Deebo Samuel. Just a really rare package of speed, power, all these different skills. If he can stay healthy, Treylon Burks is a stud. I think he's, Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks easily in my top 20. And then Drake London from USC, basketball athlete, can win at the catch point, play above the rim. Chris Olave is, if Madden had a smooth category, he'd be 99.
Hit my notes. Part of it is smooth. Just 3 words in a row.
He just, he brings smoothness to the football field. It's really crazy how polished he is. He runs polished routes. He's really good along the sideline. He's really good at the catch point where, he uses those late hands, so the cornerbacks don't know when the ball's coming. He's just very, very seasoned. And that's why I think ultimately, I think he belongs in the top 25. And then who haven't we talked to? Oh, Jahan Dodson from Penn State, who unfortunately pulled out of this week. But, he's a guy that not the biggest. I don't know if he's going to be – he might not reach 185 pounds at 5'11", but he's got outstanding ball skills. He's got some juice after the catch as well. So I think Jahan Dodson is a player that belongs in the first round.
Anybody who is here and watching and not familiar, this is Dane Brugler from The Athletic at DP Brugler on Twitter, and he is the best in the business, and he has dinner to get to not too long from now. So I'm going to get through some super chats for Dane And if you're out there and you've got something for him, you just hit me up here. Here is Soto Man. Dane's the best in the business. How's his tight end rankings with, and there's names. I don't know these people yet because it's February 1st. This is Dane's time.
That is 3 good ones right there. I think, unfortunately, we can't see K. Dodson this week because he had an ankle injury that's keeping him sidelined. But I think at the top, tight end, this is the deepest tight end class we've seen in probably 5-6 years. But I say that, but there might not be, I don't think there's going to be a first-round tight end. And tight end 1 is really wide open. I think Trey McBride from Colorado State, he's probably the favorite at this point. Reminds me a lot of a Hayden Hurst type of prospect. It's not going to get you too excited, but he's just a solid player. Jeremy Rucker from Ohio State's the interesting one. I think he is definitely in contention for that tight end 1 status. At Ohio State, obviously, they had all those monsters at receiver, and so Rucker, he just wasn't a big part of the offense as a target. He was a big part of the offense as a blocker, and
I'm not throwing to you. I've got Jackson and Jigbo and these 2 dudes out here. You don't get the ball.
That's the thing. But this guy is a stud. He's 6'5", 250, and he can get the job done as a blocker, and he's got ball skills. Today during practice, he was uncovering. Very smooth athlete. I think he's, he gets thrown around a lot, but better pro than college player, that label. Jeremy Rucker, he might be the epitome of that. And he was a 5-star guy or a highly recruited guy at Long Island, goes to Ohio State. He was a big part of that offense. He just didn't receive a ton of targets. But when he was targeted, good things happened. So I think Jeremy Rucker could be a top 50, top 60 pick. He's in contention to be tight end 1. K. Dotton's right there in the mix. Washington just woefully underutilized him. I mean, that's why the coaching staff got fired, was all their decisions they made, including K. Dotton not running a route beyond 10 yards and just not making a central part of the offense. So he's a top 5 tight end. Jalen Wedemeyer from A&M, the top junior to come out this year, broke all of Texas A&M's tight end records, catches, receiving yards, touchdowns, passed Martellus Bennett in a lot of those categories. There's a lot to like about him and where he's headed. And then I think that's 4 of them. If my top 5 tight ends, at 5, I'd probably go Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina, who's more of that F tight end where, he's kind of an oversized receiver, not the biggest guy, but he can make plays, really good ball skills. And so this is just a really fun tight end class where we might not have a first-round pick, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, into the 5th round, we're going to see a lot of tight ends drafted, and there's going to be some guys that can help. I mean, I didn't mention Cole Turner, Jake Ferguson, Greg Dulcich from UCLA, Charlie Kohler. So this is it's a deep group of tight ends.
All right, we're going to rapid fire so you can get to dinner. Clayton, have you seen Charleston Rambo, and who would Dane draft? I'm assuming that is, where would you draft him? Is he draftable? I don't know.
Yeah, he's probably a day 3 guy, Oklahoma kid who transferred to Miami. He's got an average body type, but I think he did a really nice job this year as the top target in that offense. He can, for a guy that has that size, I was impressed by his toughness at the catch point. And so based on my evaluations and feedback from the league, I've heard anywhere between 4th and 6th rounds for Rambo.
Preston just says to get Dane back on the draft show or we riot. Well, Preston, what about if you just tell your friends that maybe you could find Dane here and don't worry about all that. But I agree with you, though. Dane needs to be on the draft show because otherwise people ask questions. And I'm like, hell, I don't know who you're talking about. Ask me next month. Edward Wilson, I appreciate you in the super chat. He wants to know, is this a draft to trade and get more picks and see if you get lucky? People are comparing this to the 2013 draft with not a lot of potential all-team Pro Bowlers.
Yeah, and that 2013 draft was where we were talking about Luke Jokel going number 1, and just Deion Jordan was the number 3 pick that year, I think. Just not a lot of star power. And this draft is kind of similar. And it's funny, like last year, you look at the top 15 picks, everyone panned out. I mean, everyone, we thought Jamar Chase was going to be a stud. He was. Kyle Pitts, yeah, he was. Micah Parsons, even better than we expected. The corners. So I mean, you looked at the top 15 guys that were the blue chippers, they all basically lived up to it. This year, we just don't have those blue chippers. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the top 10 plays out. I would, in most drafts, the strength is in that kind of that, 15 to 50 range where there's a lot of good players. Maybe not no brainer Pro Bowlers, but just good players. This year, I think those guys are there. If you're the Cowboys and you're thinking, I maybe trade back and pick up another 2, pick up a 2 and a 3, whatever, you're probably hoping for these quarterbacks to show out, because that's the only reason you see teams trading up. Especially you look at teams picking in the early second round who have an early first round pick, but they're not going to draft a quarterback early first round. But maybe with their early second round pick, they trade up to get into the first and to get a Malik Willis, to get whoever it ends up being, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell. The quarterback class is all over the place. You ask 5 different teams, you get 5 different answers who the top quarterback is. So, I think if you're the Cowboys or your team picking a late first round, you're just hoping to see these quarterbacks do well. Not well enough that they get in the top 10, which I don't think they will. But, they perform well enough during the Senior Bowl and Combine that teams feel strongly that, hey, let's go get our guy. And I think there are a lot of teams are going to be like, hey, let's wait until next year. But how many GMs really have that type of, that type of security where they feel strongly that, yeah, we'll wait a year for that? I mean, Joe Judge probably thought, yeah, we could wait a year on a quarterback. Yeah, we give Daniel Jones another year and, he's out. So, I think that quarterback desperation in the NFL is a real thing. And, so we'll see how these quarterbacks fly off the board on draft day.
Dane, are you coming back to the draft show?
Not my decision. I was, hey, I'm not in Dallas anymore. So, it's not an easy thing, but if I am asked to return, I will try to make it happen.
Or maybe, and you guys just tell me in the chat if this sounds like a good idea, maybe we'll just do this regularly and maybe we'll add Brian. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe Broadus jumps into. I don't know. It's an idea. It's an idea. And finally, this is it. Dane has to go to dinner. Soto, man, appreciate you. Dane's thoughts on Kyler Gordon.
I'm guessing.
Did he make up a name? Is that a made up name?
No. We're talking about the Washington corner. Who? And it's funny because the first Washington corner drafted is going to be Trent McDuffie. Who's a little bit smaller, doesn't have great ball production, but he's just a blanket out there. Kyler Gordon was kind of opposite him, so he saw a few more targets. I thought that really gave him a chance to show what he could do. This is the corner class. You look at the underclassmen that came out, and there's a lot of really good underclassmen corners with Stingley and Ahmad Gardner, and I mentioned McDuffie, Andrew Booth from Clemson, Kyrie Elam is in there from Florida. And I think Gordon, he's right there in that mix. I think those, 6 underclassmen corners, they're all kind of jockeying for position, where they belong. And I think Gordon's right there in that mix as a late 1, early 2, has a chance to, we could see 2 Washington's kind of made a name for themselves producing these defensive backs. They got 2 of them this year. And even though Washington did not have a good year, they've got 2 pretty impressive corners and guys that have a chance to go in the first round. McDuffie's the more well-known name, could go as high as the top 15, but don't forget about Gordon. He has a chance to sneak in there.
Taj didn't listen to me and broke the rules. Dane, what are your thoughts on Kyle Phillips? You have 15 seconds. Kyle Phillips.
UCLA receiver who just tore it up at Shrine practices. Love the foot quickness. He can release. He can separate. So I thought he turned some heads with what he did in Vegas during his Shrine practices. And there's a lot of teams going back to the tape and saying, hey, let's give this Kyle Phillips another look because he's a good player.
All right, there you go. That's the great Dane Brugler from The Athletic at DP Brugler on the Twitter. You can find him. He's at the Senior Bowl. He is the absolute best in the business. And we thank Dane, and we thank the people who chatted. Dane, say thank you to the people.
Thank you, people. Hey, let's do this again.
Oh, okay, deal. Yeah. We'll do it again. Remember, my pizza's also got here like 10 minutes ago, so I'm glad to go too. Dane's got dinner. I've got dinner. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everyone. I love you. Bye. We'll see